Hey yo, what's up guys, it's your Dadscap, welcome to Market Pulse, your weekly deep dive into the CS2 economy. Today's peak player count of 1.6 million players has finally broken the trend we've observed over the last few weeks, which showed a gradual decline of players going outside instead. This week's reversal may be due to the fact that the Austin Major is now getting started, which features bordered stickers for the first time since Rio 2022. Wow. This major will also feature the first ever souvenir charms, so don't forget your viewer pass and to do your pick'ems. Also, Valve seems to have released 4 new Warhammer 40k sticker capsules into the in-game store, but apparently they're literally all paper stickers, so these capsules are pretty much garbage. The market cap is back at it again this week, posting surprisingly hella good growth, despite crashing 10% in 3 days not even 2 weeks ago. Nonetheless, a rebound seems imminent, and with the market likely beginning another uptrend, confidence remains strong for traders who seem unaffected by the recent shakedown. Giga Chads. The 301 index, aka the liquid index, showed pretty good growth this week, gaining almost 3% since last week. The fact that we hit the bottom just last week and already showing nice growth in highly traded items seems to indicate an increase of activity amongst average traders and not just speculation in high tier items. The low tier index showed similar-ish performance to the liquid index with 2.5% to show this week, which reinforces the idea of higher trading activity across all tiers of items, which is good for the market. The mid-tier index, the problematic index from the last time, showed the best performance so far, except for the market cap. Considering the history, this could be cause for concern, but as long as it's not running away from, say, the liquid index or the low-tier index, to me this looks like a genuine increase in value, so not another bubble forming. And with the high-tier index posting a little over 2% this week, a good number just by itself, but the worst one in comparison to the other indexes, I'm happy to say that things are looking good for the entire market going forward. Moving on to the gloves and knives index, we can see that there's still some juice left in the gloves market apparently, with traders managing to squeeze almost 6% out of it since last week. Knives on the other hand showed more muted growth, getting close to 2%. As for the extra cosmetics, we can see that charms are clutching hard this week, finally be making a comeback with a gain of just over 5%. And finally for the cases index, we can see that the pre-2016 cases as well as the 2020 to 2022 cases followed a similar trend, being down almost 2%. The 2016 to 2019 cases on the other hand not only outperformed the other cases index, but almost all other indexes with an increase of 3.4% this week. Wow! The market poll this week is that we're so freaking back, man! Let's go! We crashed from an all-time high of over $5 billion back down to $4.5 billion. However, this didn't seem to phase the market too much, which seems to be recovering well, showing that investors and traders alike are feeling good about CS's future. It's so wholesome. Welcome to Case Crackdown, where we break down the happenings in the case market over the past week. And this week, 8.3 million cases were opened, down quite significantly from the over 9 million cases that were opened last week, of which 46% were active cases, 36% purchasable, 16% were rare, and 0.4% were discontinued. The top purchasable case was the Fever case, with 2.3 million getting opened, down just over 13% week over week, and 2.3% over 7 days. The top active case was the Dreams and Nightmares case, with well over 900,000 being opened, but still down 4.2% from its weekly average, and 10.3% since Friday last week. The number one rare case was the Snakebite case, with over 150,000 new unboxings this week, up significantly by 5.3% week over week and 25% since 7 days ago. Watch out for this case. The most liquid case was once again the best case in the game, which is the Fracture case, which is actually being shown some love for once, with market listings now down to 420k and an increase of over 5% in its unboxing numbers. It seems like demand for the case is starting to go back up. The case with the most potential was the Gamma 2 case, showing strong 7-day and 30-day price increases, 8% and 27% respectively, despite a dip of 5% in the 15-day price percentage. Not too surprising considering it coincides with the tippity top of the market. The biggest crash out came from the Fever case, unsurprisingly, considering it's literally the most open case in the game right now, being down 6%, so only 3 cents, from the 7-day average price. And as for Dadscap's pick of the week, I've decided to go with Danger Zone case because it's still a pretty cheap, rare case with nice looking knives, namely the Fades, the Slaughters, and the Crimson Webs. Most of its potential value rests on the Talon knife performing well in the future, which, despite being the Karambit's eternal little bro, is still, in my opinion, bound to remain amongst the top knives in the game simply because of its big and curvy design. By the way, disclaimer, do not go download the link in the description. I repeat, do not go download the link in the description. I really don't need any more of you brokies trying to snipe my deals, okay? Thank you. Welcome to Winners and Losers, starting off as usual with the winning cases, once again being dominated by cases containing Dopplers and Gamma Doppler knives. While these tend to do well in normal times, the reason they did so well this week is likely due to the fact that Dopplers and Gamma knives were amongst the hardest hit when the market crashed. Now that it seems that we're in the beginning of an uptrend, it's not surprising to see such a sharp increase in their cases. As for the losers, we find the kilowatt case continuing its generalized weeks-long downtrend, and the CS20 case, which continued to go up in price as the market crashed, but is being told to chill the fuck out, with it just down 4% this week, almost. Moving on to the winning play skins, and I can't say that I'm too happy to see the AK Elite Muso once again this week, especially when it's posting an insane gain of over 30%. What the f? If any of you has any information about it, please leave a comment. It's keeping me up at night, okay? It's bad. Deals of this week, for the play skins at least, are only for op skins surprisingly, with a print stream topping the rankings once again. Good luck to this skin gaining some momentum with the fever case stuck on printing mode, okay? Moving on to the winning knives, we find the Karambit Vanilla at the very top with a mind-boggling 23% gain this week. Following just behind, we find the Karambit Lore, another Karambit, posting an impressive 12% gain this week. That's too bad that it's standing next to the Vanilla skin going berserk. And just behind, with only 0.01% of difference, lol, is the M9 Gamma Doppler. For the losers, we find, topping them all as the biggest loser of the week, the Bowie Knife Doppler, which only lost 4% of its value this week. The Bowie Knife seems to not have recovered from the Doppler crash of 2 weeks ago, meaning it may actually be a good buying opportunity if you guys are looking to flip something easy. Last but not least on the winners list, we're moving on to gloves, where we find the Crimson Kimono, determined to gain back what it lost during the crash, and big ballsing around with a 24% gain this week, even surpassing the Karambit Vanilla. The two top gloves of this week can both only be found in the glove and Hydra cases, so it's actually not surprising to see them bounce back hard, considering they're actually rare and expensive to get. My only issue is with the Amphibious going up as if it also were a rare gloves, despite the fact it can be found in the Revolution case. Careful with this one. And finally, for the losers, we find a pretty unremarkable trio, down probably because they're ugly as f***. Oh my god, bro. Hell no, man. Welcome to ROI Radar, where we're looking for a money printer hidden in the armory or the in-game store, starting off with the Feral Predators capsule with an odds profit of 29%, an unboxing ROI of 87%, and an expected value of 87 cents, or 13 cents loss. The best item is the Toxic Foil at $4.52. Next up is the Boardroom capsule with an odds of profit of 19%, an unboxing ROI of 88%, and an expected value of 88 cents, or 12 cents loss. The best item is the V for Victory Hollow at $6 flat. Finally, the best capsule in the in-game store is the Enfu sticker capsule with an odds of profit of 27%, an unboxing ROI of 95%, and an expected value of 95 cents, or 5 cents loss. The best item is the Chablo straight up paper at $3.57. Moving on to the armory, the third best collection is the Sport and Field collection with an odds profit of 5%, an unboxing ROI of 90%, and an expected value of $1.45, or 15 cents loss. The best item is the M41S Fade at $577. Next best collection, we find the Missing Link Charms with an odds profit of 15%, an unboxing ROI of 100%, and an expected value of $1.20, so perfect break even. Wow! The best item is the Hot Howl at $54.39. Finally, the best collection in the game remains the Elemental Craft sticker collection with an odds profit of 33%, an unboxing ROI of 121%, yo what? And an expected value of 48 cents, or 8 cents gain? With Steam fees included? Hey yo, be right back. The best item is the Ruby Wave never mind, at $10.90. Thank you guys for watching, and don't you dare click the link in the description. Thank you.